6. Alright. Oh boy. Pardon me, pardon me. Oh my goodness. Hello, hello. Good morning, good morning. My throat. It's podcast son's morning voice. Oh dear, oh dear. All right. We've hopefully everything's there. Hello everyone. Good morning. Good morning from Australia. You're joining us for a beautiful, beautiful stream. Currently it is already 40 degrees. So we've had like 40-degree weather. Let me convert that to American. So 40 Celsius to Fahrenheit, please. Yes. It's 104 Fahrenheit. So we've had like yesterday was 104 Fahrenheit. Today was 100 Fahrenheit as well. So yeah, it's absolutely insane weather here in Australia. So you wish it were 40 degrees? No, you do not wish it were 40 degrees. It was so hot actually that it was 30 degrees up until 9 p.m. So it's I did not like it. I did not like it because I usually I like cold evenings, and then I do it. The cold disables so much. It's probably because here in Australia we don't have snow, so take off my suit. Not on stream, not on stream, Miguel. Oh my goodness. 20 degrees Fahrenheit, says Starship Garage. What's that then? That's negative temperature, isn't it? 21 Fahrenheit to Celsius. Negative 6 degrees. I've never had like the lowest we've had here in Australia is negative 4. So yeah, I'd have a shirt. I should have a shirt model done. Um yeah, the worst I've had here in my city anyway is -2. So yeah, for immersion, I'll take the shirt off. I'll take the suit off and the coat off. I'll just have like the I really yeah, I'm thinking of it already. Welcome Celestium. Oh my goodness. I saw you throwing on Rivals earlier before stream. Um all right. Before we talk about censorship and the things I'm pro censorship for, I'm going to share something that shouldn't be censored and something that makes me very very happy. So just this morning I woke up to Nimmy Nightmares karaoke, and you can see this lovely taper here is this tape, this beautiful taper here should totally not be censored. It's just I think I don't know. I don't know how I don't know what it is with Nimmy Nightmare, but every time I show up on stream, it's just like it's just something that you want to protect, right? This right here is something that I want to protect. Like it's just look at that. Look how cute she is. It's just absolutely insane. If you were on I looked at the VOD for the debut stream, and it's insane. It was just insane. Well, the moment she opened memberships, that everyone just joined for membership. So anyway, very very look at that. Look at that. Oh my goodness. I absolutely adore her. Very, very cool VTuber. I think she's a yeah, I love her Chibi model. I love the Chibi model because it has good lore as well. Like this isn't her proper form either. So yeah. It's very, very, very based. So um yeah, yeah. So anyway. And also I love this part at the beginning. If you I don't want to play it for copyright reasons. But if you haven't listened to this the starting song as well. It's one of the it's so like it's I don't want to say it. Like it's so Nimmy. I should say it's so Nimmy. If you guys are aware of her past life as well, like it's just everything about the song at the start is just so Nimmy as well. Yeah, she's such an interesting type of fauna, isn't she? Yeah, I know, right? So anyway, all right, cool. With that, so I put up a poll in chat in terms of are you pro censorship or anti censorship, and we've got 12% pro, 11% pro, 19% anti censorship, and it depends on 70%. So that's okay. All right, cool. So we're talking about 70%. She is a professional. Also, it's because biology. God made our brain go protect the child. Yes, for real, for real. All right. The the focus of today's stream is we're gonna be reacting to Chibi reviews, mainly because Chibi reviews, he's in the group of like Rev Says Desu, which are like these. They're basically they're essentially liberals, but they are anti censorship. They're anti woke. So they're like they're not conservatives, right? They are liberals in so much that they are anti woke and anti censorship. But it's just this particular issue, which is just I don't know, man. I like they're really gonna die. Both Rev Says Desu and Chibi reviews die upon this hill of we don't want to censor this particular thing. So we're gonna take a look at this because I think it's really cringe. It's really cringe that they don't want to censor this sort of stuff. So let's I know the thumbnail says something different. I think we're gonna look at this video first because I saw who is it? Walk Don't Sleep. Before we react to this, actually, chat. What are your guys' views in chat? No, it's not Walk Don't Run. Sleep. Walk Don't Sleep. No, I swear I'm subscribed to him, so I should I bloody well should know. Think before you sleep. That's it. So I saw his video reacting to it because he's like, I'm also anti-censorship, but this censorship is actually good because it censors lollies. So yeah, censorship depends. If you're censoring speech and opinions, then no. If you're censoring sexual content, yeah, for real, for real. Oh, also, I am going to I'm going to censor myself today because I was demonetized for the last video, probably because we were talking about gooning and other things. So I'm gonna try as much as possible to not say that word. I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna replace it by spicy things, spicy stuff, rather than that word I just used. So yeah, because I don't want to be demonetized. Keep the H out of my anime, for real. Some stuff needs to be censored, but I don't trust most people who like to censor to do the censoring. I don't know, man. I don't like this is the other argument which I saw at the start, which is like people are like slippery slope. If you start censoring one thing, then you're gonna slippery slope into another. And I don't believe that. I think degenerate VTubers should be censored, and you've just pointed at me, Blazer, and that's absolutely disgusting. That's an automatic 3-day ban right there. So all I'll say. All right. I think we've got a good sense of where we're at then as a chat. So because I'm also of that view. I prefer clear guidance on what your media creation will get than outright banning of things. The issue is that many saw anime/manga as the last bastion untainted by woke, and look at what the credit companies support. I think that's like anime and manga is like because Japan is like pretty they're not strict on speech, right? The strictest they are is probably like on copyright a little bit. I think that's it. I think that censorship should be used carefully. I think parents should have a hand in it to prevent opinions and things like that. Like the Bible from getting censored, like in the UK was attempted, yeah. Because my position is this, right? Like I think speech should not be censored at all, right? You're perfectly capable to speak as many things as possible, and that shouldn't be censored. But when we're talking about like spicy things, right? When we're talking about people being actively degenerate, I don't think that's a like. Because are you seriously saying to me like well, okay, maybe the US model here is actually a good thing. So the US model is if you go onto a website that hosts spicy things, then you should have age verification. I think the US model there might be a good idea, like if we had like a age verification system. But I'm also like in favor of like maybe we should be banning corn, right? Maybe we should be banning that sort of stuff because if if kids are if it is an addiction, right? Like in the same way that we would yeah, similar to alcohol, Celeste, but in the same way, like I think it's in the same way that we ban stuff like illicit drugs, right? We ban illicit drugs because it is not only for the sake of it. Like we ban it because people generally get addicted to it. So I think the age verification US model that some US states have gone with is actually not a bad idea. Um, but I'm actually restricting minors' internet access as well. Um, that's fair. That's fair. But when we're talking about specifically corn, right, where it is very addictive. Even in my own, like, if you guys are on the server, because I've been super super I don't want to say it on stream, but I've been super super transparent in terms of my battle with lust recently. Like I think it would be helpful for me as well if like if corn was restricted, right? So yeah. As a Texas boy, you're proud you censored corn for real, for real. So yeah, okay. I'm self-censoring myself. You know, it's quite funny that I'm self-censoring myself on YouTube as well, considering I will be I am going to be demonetized if I say any more other things. All right, let's get to this. Let's get to this easy Chibi reviews. Age verification isn't really censorship. Yeah, censoring has to do whether something can be distributed at all. Oh yeah, yeah. So I'm in favor of that. Right. So age verification, like if we can't do censorship though, at the very least we should do age verification. Um, so yeah, all right, cool. That's us. I think that's as central as this one. I'm pretty sure this is the one that Sleep Don't Think or whatever his name is that I can't like remember right now. So yeah.
Head of Visa Japan proudly admits to bullying retailers into censorship, all in the name of brand protection. The man that said this looks like this, and first impressions, he looks like a stereotypical supervillain from a comic book. Like, if someone told me this was Lex Luthor, I would believe.
I mean, that's actually pretty funny, not gonna lie. Like it's really mean to the guy, but it's but when we're talking about like, oh, is this guy a supervillain? I think okay, I like trolling, right? We're gonna troll this guy and say he's Lex Luthor, but at the same time, I think is if censorship is like one of the lost evils to call someone like a supervillain compared to other things. So yeah, okay, but I'm okay with trolling. I love as well that it's a white guy and behind him is Japanese text. So to be like Visa Japan. The representative of Visa Japan. Ideally, the bad stuff should be hard and inconvenient to get. Yeah, which is why like that's the whole deal with like banning okay, I'm gonna use this term only because it's I hate using this term because leftists like they obfuscate obviously, but I'm gonna use the term termination of pregnancy so YouTube doesn't get triggered. But like that's the whole appeal of like termination of like banning the termination of pregnancy is so that it's harder to access, right? So the obvious one is ecchi. It shouldn't be distributed or even made, period. Like I agree with that, right? I don't see how you would say, oh, but free speech and we shouldn't be censoring ecchi. I'd love to continue watching my ecchi anime. Like I don't see the argument, right? I don't see the argument there, guys. Um it's just a bit it's odd to me that you would be in favor of keeping ecchi or ecchi anime around. Um, Personally, I'm anti-censorship up to the point of corn. I see, because corn is not free speech. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Um,
Believe it. I straight up would, because it's like he has the whole drip going on. He has the bald, hairstyle going on. He has that smug smile going on. This man straight up, if you were to tell me this was Lex Luthor,
this guy's like absolutely being his appearance is it's not that bad. It's like come on, Chibi. You don't have to really bash the guy for being bald. Oh my goodness. I'm curious, playing devil's advocate, would you apply censorship of such content in the Bible for those under 18? Not a total ban, but just preventing minors from reading particular graphic areas. Yeah, I am like, this is, if you guys haven't watched my Apothecary Diaries video, right? I think there's a difference between um descriptions in the Bible. Like, descriptions in the Bible are like, it's not a kid's book, right? So I wouldn't say, like, of course, I think even amongst like Jewish circles, right? The Song of Solomon was not like, kids weren't allowed to read the Song of Solomon, right? So of course, like in the Bible, we it is absolutely at the parents' discretion in terms of what they're going to allow their kids to read in the Bible, right? Because obviously there are graphic areas. Counterpoint: someone tries to say a bunny girl senpai is ecchi. What happens then? I think this comes to the point of what we mean by definitions, right? Because ecchi is a very specific type of anime that really focuses on it. Like, is bunny girl senpai focusing in on those particular body parts, right? So there is a difference between ecchi and hentai. Not saying either is good. Yeah, for real, for real. It's like biological descriptions of that particular act for high school. Class versus corn. Yes, yes. Hello, welcome to our Psalms. You're joining us at a particularly bad time, right? So yeah, that's what I think in terms of the Bible. Of course, like there are like already age restrictions. We're talking about censorship, Cherish Psalms. Censorship of ecchi anime in particular. So yeah. In terms of Blazer, your question, I think yeah, that's kind of my position, right? Which is like, we there are already like, we are already saying kids shouldn't read particular parts of the Bible because of graphic content. So there you go. Are we saying should it be banned completely? Is it causing someone to lust? I don't think so. It's just that's kind of when we're, but specifically when we're looking at corn, right? When we're looking at corn and we're looking at ecchi anime, it's specifically because the intent is to cause someone to lust. And I know that would be really hard to prove in a court of law. But specifically, we're just talking about like, when we are talking like, I think it's really easy to define what corn is, right? And that's probably where as far as I would go, right? Like it's really easy to define corn. That's why we should censor it and ban it, right? When we're talking about ecchi anime, like you could make an argument that it's really hard to define ecchi. And okay, that's fine. Like I'll grant you that it's really hard to define what an ecchi anime is, and we shouldn't censor stuff based on something being called ecchi. But at the same time, we should be banning corn outright. I know it when I see it, but good luck defining it systematically. Yeah, well, come on now, come on now. Like it's not like, what kind of censorship? Like whole thing of ecchi slash hentai anime. Yes, that's what we're talking about. There's also different levels like swimsuits. Like I think Japanese swimsuits are like, because sorry, quick side note. I think it's really unfortunate that here in the West that bikinis have been like really popularized. I think one piece swimsuits are actually that's probably the most that you'd ever go to, right? So yeah. I was gonna say, sorry, I've just realized what Chibi Reviews has in his background, and I've just put it on stream. Oh dear, oh dear, wait. Is there a way for me to censor him on the spot? I can't quite, wait. Let's, can we do color source? No, 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 no. Delete. Delete you. Give me a second, guys. I've just realized I'm gonna censor. I'm censoring Chibi Reviews live in real time. Can I rotate you? All right, there we go. I think that's the most we're gonna censor Chibi right there. I sometimes struggle with corn. Sometimes I never really know the clear answer, but I like that you have a clear set of morals too. It's refreshing. Shock and horror. Yeah, my bad, guys. I'm gonna say like, because I'm not gonna act hypocritical here because obviously I've been super. I think I want to be as super transparent as possible in terms of like I I like struggle with this as well, which is why I support censorship of it, right? Because I want the government to make it harder for myself because I would like to censor myself as much as possible as well, in terms of this issue. So yeah, they started selling skimpy swimsuits in kid size. Yeah, that's insane. That's absolutely insane. All right, chat, you're distracting me again. Oh dear.
Believe you, because he does straight up look like Lex Luthor. It's just like, it's so crazy how cartoonishly evil some people can be, and that's basically what we have going on here.
All right, like, we're gonna be the judge of that. All right, we're gonna be the judge of that.
So let's get into the main subject at hand, aka this individual right here basically saying he is bullying retailers into censorship in the name of brand protection. Now, this comment here actually is from this post here on Twitter. I became aware of this a few hours ago, and eventually, through digging and stuff, I found the Reddit post where this spawned from, and then eventually the link to the actual, like, you know...
All right, I'm gonna say, this is, like, him just showing this, right? I really don't like lolly. This is the thing, right? It's just like this comes into the question of like lolly. Oh, sorry. Wait, no. I really should put up a content warning. My bad. Because I should have watched the video beforehand. Blimey. Content warning. Lollies. No. I'm just gonna put like content warning right here. Where should I put it? I should make it so it has a background, hey. Background opacity. There you go. In my opinion, kids should never be done like that. It's disgusting, yes. For adults, it's shady, for real. You could practice aggression, yes. Don't know if unpopular opinion, Fate Ilya should just be classified as sub. Yeah, that's the thing, right? When you're some ecchi anime already, like it's bordering on that, which is why like if it is bordering on that, why wouldn't we censor it? Because we already know, I don't think I've actually articulated this argument, but basically we already know that it causes people to lust. Some people are caused so much to lust that it becomes an addiction to them, addiction for them. We know that it's so addicted, it's so addictive to them that they're going to that it will result in them like destroying their lives because they're not being productive, right? If that is the case, then why wouldn't we censor it? So yeah, like if it is causing so much harm to people, if it's causing harm to themselves, then why wouldn't we do it? I remember I would used to watch Monster Girls and I've only seen a couple of things from Monster Girls, but Monster Girls, like especially like that's sort of stuff, so become the moral police. Why wouldn't we be? Like it's I just don't see the argument for us like allowing people to continue drawing this sort of stuff, producing this sort of stuff, right? Or at least like sorry, at least we're talking playing devil's advocate again. Do you think we should be banning gambling reels or other addictive practices? This is why I'm also conflicted with like the TikTok ban, right? Which is like I think TikTok should be banned. You know what I mean? Like gambling definitely, right? Yeah, we should ban gambling. We should TikTok reels. There is an argument to be made that we should ban it as well. So yeah, it is as bad as drugs. That's where I disagree with you, and that's perfectly fine, Zexel Gaming. Like we're okay to still have a discussion. Like again, like I don't think censorship of speech should be. We shouldn't censor speech, but there are certain things that we should be banning, right? Especially if it's harmful. It also causes stresses and loneliness that is as deadly as a pack of cigs a day. Very real, for real. So yeah, destructive and addictive practices. If there isn't, so this is like the hierarchy, right? The in an ideal world we would censor it. If not, age restrictions. If not, as much as possible we should be providing counseling to these people. If not, then I like the very absolute minimum would be provide counseling and provide mental health support. Next up would be age restrictions. Next up would be total ban. Like in an ideal world it would be total ban. Ban gambling, yeah. Ban media like TikTok, no. That's what commie China does. I don't like that argument either, because it's like, oh, the communist, that's a leftist thing to say. Well, what if they're right? A card payment processor should not be censoring stuff because where it will end. But should it be the government then? Age restriction is the way to go. Ideally, we should develop a cultural atmosphere that doesn't contain such behavior, but for the sake of younger people, we should be proper hedging. I mean, like, if the government should be age restriction, and then in our own communities, in our own churches, I see the argument that can be made, like, we're creating a culture in our church community or in our local community that says we shouldn't do it. I can't / shouldn't be the moral authority, but the church should really be the moral authority, which is why, like, the church should be doing it. I didn't say it's a left. No, like you're making the argument that because communist China does it, then we shouldn't do it. And what if communist China is right on this one thing, right? Like it's not we're not, just because communist China does it doesn't mean it's a bad idea, right? Okay, bundle of Stixists in Germany. The Austrian painter man thought that banning cigarettes was a good idea. That means we shouldn't ban cigarettes because Austrian painter guy thought it was a good idea, right? You know what I mean? I think it's a bad argument to say that that's what the communists do, right? Many people in history were not Christian, but still were right if they said don't slap your brother. I've confused. We're only 1 minute into the video, so let's actually
article here discussing the interview and everything about that, and this is basically what this guy, the head of Visa Japan, had to say. So, Kidney explained that while Visa strives to facilitate legal and legitimate purchases whenever possible, there are instances where the company must restrict usage to protect.
The government shouldn't have a ridiculous amount of power like that, because they'll go and abuse it later. You know, because of my libertarian leanings, I am actually very, I do lean towards that argument. I think Valorian was making an example of what you said. Oh. Because of course the slippery slope argument is real. Like it's definitely, I think it's a valid argument to make, but at the same time, it's good to be cautious when giving central government more power. Yeah, but at the very least, because I am more my ideology is close to, what is it? I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'm close to minarchist, right? Which is allowing the government as much as possible, like as much power as possible as is needed. But reducing that power as much as possible as well. Is in an ideal world, we would never even be talking about censorship because everyone is aligned with God's ideals. Yes, for real. That's actually true, Luke. Yes, anime and manga that have ecchi and have adult content should be labeled as such. But since it's serialized and broadcast on TV in Japan, it's considered as anime. Yeah, it's a bit cringe, isn't it? The issue should be worked out on a social level, but not a government level. But what if you can't quite do it on a social level? Like it's possible, right? Like if we spread Christian ideals as a church, definitely it is possible. Like that's actually a good point. Like the church should be a moral authority and spreading that sort of stuff, right? Church Psalms, if you love those emojis, then maybe you'll love even more emojis if you become a channel member, because there are, wait. I need to chill for a bit. Give me a second. Before we're talking about censorship, if you would like to become a channel member, you will get access to these emojis right here. So feel free to do that. I think part of it is hypocrisy from these corporations suppressing hetero attraction while actively promoting their gender ideology. Yeah, that's true. I've heard parent reports of there being spicy books in school libraries. That's the thing, right? Which is like we shouldn't be. Thanks, Trevor. Look at that. Very cool. Very cool. Um, I have like that's the schools. It isn't censorship to say as well. Like age restrictions. I like that we've at least agreed as a chat as a community. We at least agree that age restrictions should be a thing in regards to this, right? Instead of censorship and on a whole. The thing is, this whole issue our society is openly dealing with isn't just because some degenerates in society want to flaunt their moral debauchery, but because of governments and business. Yeah. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I can say we aren't in an ideal world, right? So in the current context that we are in, age restrictions, yes, but also that the us as a church, us as a church community and locally, we should be doing as much as possible to help people to do it. Can't stop adults from moral degeneracy, but we can stop children. Yeah. I wouldn't have the government just outright ban certain social media, but they should crack down if that social media fails to protect the users. So yeah, okay. I'm happy that we've at least come to that conclusion as a chat. Like, at least we should do age restrictions. Maybe not going as far as to ban it outright, but age restrictions should definitely be a thing, to occur. All right.
The brand. Now, before I even get into the main meat here, protect the brand, it's like facilitate legal and legitimate purchases whenever possible. You're saying that there is illegitimate purchases sometimes? Like, money laundering? Anyways, let's get into the main thing. So basically, restrict usage to protect the brand. What does this mean? Well, this is more or less corpo speak with saying we don't want content that could ruin our image. We don't want content that could potentially get people not to use our said service.
All right. Now the thing is, we're sorry, that's a really bad spot to post Chibi on. The thing is, we're now going to, I think at some point Chibi is going to defend what this thing is, because in order to protect the brand from stuff that they don't want to be associated with, and there's a particular issue that he's gonna do it. I can smell this guy from here. That's really mean, Blazer. And I wouldn't make that comment. I just realized the irony of using free speech to promote censorship. For real.
I'm thinking to myself, like, I think anyone that has a debit or credit card are not looking at their companies of Visa and MasterCard and be like, these companies are scumbags because they're allowing me to use my money to buy what I want to buy legally.
No, but the thing is, right, like, if I think there is an absolute, like, we would absolutely be judging Visa and MasterCard if they were complicit in money laundering. And if we were, I think it's a bad argument to say like, oh, the individual on a personal level would say, oh, I think there's this brand, I'm going to associate this brand with the stuff that I'm buying. But on the same level, if Visa and MasterCard are complicit in certain activities and certain crimes, such as money laundering, then why wouldn't we have them also ban stuff like corn or explicit content like that? So, you know, it's I think that's on Chibi's part, that's not such a great argument to make.
I don't think anyone is getting upset with Visa or MasterCard. In fact, censoring and stopping me from being able to use my own money is actually what would cause me not to like your company. That gives your brand a bad image.
Yes, but let's say if you're using your own money to buy something like illicit drugs, I'm not going to say that particular names because I don't know how, like, I don't want this stream to be demonetized again. Just so you know, guys, I am absolutely shocked because last stream hit 1,000 views, which never happens for live streams because they're meant to be live streams, right? They're not meant to be proper videos. So I'm absolutely shocked that you guys are for those of you watching on the VOD, thank you very much. So I think when Chibi's making this argument, right, like, oh, it's my own money, I can do whatever I want to do with it. I don't think that should be so. Like, if you are using your money to buy slaves, No, like that's cringe. I wouldn't do like that's absolutely cringe to do it. It's all about brand reputation. It's why we don't see corn on retail sets. So yeah, this argument to say like, oh, it's my own money. I should get to do whatever I want to do with it. Then no, I don't. So that's a bad argument to make.
So, what's fully happening here for those that are not actually aware? So, basically, Visa and MasterCard and a bunch of other credit card companies have been on a
But slaves are illegal. Not in some countries. Like, if you go to countries like okay, probably not here and not in a Western country, but if if you were to go to a country like India or Burma, not Burma, sorry, Myanmar or Vietnam, and then you bought like a child slave there, and you if you made the argument, like it's still morally wrong, right? Like if you were to say, oh, I used to, this is a thing, right? A lot of Western tourists go into third world countries, like especially in Southeast Asia, to go into red light districts to engage in spicy acts specifically with children because it is legal there. Now, you could make an argument in the West, like you can make an argument, oh, it's my money, I'm doing whatever, like I'm using my money to buy a plane ticket to go into Southeast Asia to engage in this act with a child slave. You can make that argument, but it's still morally wrong, right? Like that's why you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't. That's why it's a bad argument to make that it's my own money. No, it's not your like because it is you are perfectly capable to use your money to do a lot of things, but I think the government should stop you from doing bad things with your money, right? Like there's nothing stopping you from using your money to also people purchase illicit drugs all the time. It's still illegal, right? So yeah, why are tourists paying thousands to have yeah it's insane. So the statistic is like I think it's like something like 20% of the tourists 20% of purchasers of like of those particular services in countries like Vietnam, 20% of them are like Australian tourists. So the the fact that of all of the tourists of all of the of all of the people purchasing these products, like purchasing these services that involve children in Southeast Asian countries, the fact that 20% of them are Australian citizens just goes to show that no, there is you should be stopped from purchasing certain things using your money, right? So true, we can't depend on the law because the law is different on every country. Yeah, so we're not talking about things that are like of course like it's don't of course it's illegal here in our country. We're just talking about things from a moral perspective, right? Regardless of what the law says. All right, cool.
As of late for the last few years in Japan, basically slowly squeezing the life out of certain sites where they can no longer sell products or operate as a site because Visa and MasterCard have basically closed shop.
Okay, again, like the way that he's characterizing this makes it seem like, oh, Visa and MasterCard are like absolutely they are censoring manga and anime for like stupid reasons, and it's like it's completely unreasonable for them to censor it. We're just going to at some point Chibi's going to talk about this sort of content that's trying to be censored. So we're going to take a look here. The reason free speech and censorship is compatible is for a reason recognized by most laws, that is cognition hazards. If seeing or distributing the content causes harm, then it should be banned. That is the basis to judge if it should be banned. An example most people would agree with is corn. Yeah.
On those sites. Now, effectively what this means is that there is a lot of stuff like Melon Books is a recent site I covered that houses a lot of different manga and houses merchandise. It also houses, 18 plus content as well. And the thing is, it's completely all legal, sanctioned under Japan, everything like that.
Okay, yeah, but it's not, we're talking about things from a moral perspective, right? We're not talking about like is it legal and things like that. We're talking about it from a moral perspective. And is it moral for you to be using your money to be purchasing 18 plus, specifically 18 plus content, right? And no, it's not, right? And therefore it should be censored. That's the argument that we're making here. Yeah, yes, it may be perfectly legal for you to purchase 18 plus to purchase 18 plus content, but is it helping you, like, is it helping you develop as a person if you purchase 18 plus content? No, it doesn't. Like, is it going to cause you to be more addicted? Yes, it is. Is it going to cause you to be more is it going to cause you to be like to destroy your life? Yes, it is. So why shouldn't it be censored? My problem is that Visa is not an arbiter of morality. That is fair, but there is. I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to come back to that. Like, making a terrorist threat or promoting illegal activity is illegal in most Western countries, and it is something that most libertarians agree with in terms of limiting speech. Yeah, like, even like if you're promoting a crime, like criminal act, then you shouldn't be, like, that should be censored, right? It's like, was it mostly okay for the Confederates to buy slaves? Yeah, yeah. In terms of like corporate responsibility and things like that, I've been watching a lot of air crash investigations. In every sense of the word, especially in when planes, like, I think airplane companies have moral responsibilities, and I say that in the sense that, like, because when you watch a lot of these air crash investigations, I'm using this as a separate example, by the way, to make a point about like corporate responsibility. When you see airplanes crash because of bad company policies, in every sense of the word, of course, companies do have a corporate responsibility, right? Like, it's really annoying whenever you see like whenever you're watching like some of these air crash investigations, like, you see all of these problems because humans are broken, but also because, like, humans make mistakes and humans are broken, but also because their companies were creating policies that were really cringe and led to these these airplanes to crash from the sky. Another thing that I'd say, like, of course, like, let's talk about like clothing companies that employ slave labor in China, right? Of course, companies have a corporate responsibility. They have a moral responsibility to do all of these things. Like, when we think about companies during the industrial era, right, that really some companies that underpaid their workers, some companies today that underpay their workers, I'm sure Chibi reviews would be like, oh, of course companies should be paying their workers more. But when it comes to like in all of these different cases, we see that companies absolutely have a moral and corporate responsibility. Like, they have the power to be moral arbiters of truth. So to say that for this specific issue in terms of 18 plus content and corn, to say that they don't have a moral responsibility in this case, I think it's silly to say. They just make anything they could think of and never think of the consequences. By all means, let's talk about Visa's high interest rates and the moral evils of pushing higher consumer debt. Yes, okay, there is that as well. Like, we should also talk about those moral issues as well. But I don't want to go into like whataboutism in this case, because we're focusing on this specific issue right here, right? We're focusing on the censorship of corn and 18 plus content. Maybe I should just refer to it as 18 plus content so that YouTube doesn't accidentally hear me say something else. I feel like it becomes so easy to be a hypocrite in judging in life. I try not to judge. Hey, that's fair. That's fair. The problem is not necessarily Visa, but their censorship. That particular drug is illegal because it's physically harmful. Most people agree that physically harmful things is bad. Beliefs aside. All right. I don't know where. There's a particular clip I'm thinking of right now, so I'm waiting for Chibi to go into that.
It is completely fine to use and buy in Japan on these sites and stuff. And the thing is that Visa and MasterCard, you know, kind of backed out of those sites because they were saying, if you do not censor your content, if you don't do certain things that we want you to do, then we are going to remove ourselves from your site, and you're not going to be able to make any money. Effectively, like literally this post says, bullying retailers into censorship. Because it's like, in Japan, the big go-to credit card companies and debit card companies in Japan is MasterCard and Visa. Crazy, but that is the main usage of like a non-cash currency in Japan.
So in this case as well, like there are when we I'm using an extreme example to make a point here again. It is legal to use slave labor in China. Is it fine? Would Visa and Mastercard say like, oh yeah, that's perfectly fine. Like you can use your like we wouldn't use this same argument if we were talking about like slave labor in China, right? Because if it was like, oh, um, it's perfectly legal for slave labor to be purchased in China. Therefore, Visa and Mastercard should just allow people to purchase slave labor in China using their services. You know what I mean, right? It's like I don't think it's if we were to use this argument against any other like moral issue, um, it's but because it's specifically about corn and 18 plus content, that's why people aren't like are anti-censorship. I think it's silly. It is silly to say as if you could buy slaves on Teamy. I should stop saying slaves so often because I think that's another demonetizable thing that YouTube might whack me on. The Bible had slavery in it though, right? No, we're talking about purchasing slaves, right? We're not talking about stories of slavery. We're like that. I'm not arguing for censorship of that. I'm arguing specifically for like the moral ill, like purchasing slaves in China is perfectly fine, but doesn't mean you should be, right? I could argue that the creation and ability for monopolies like Visa and MasterCard is because they are government promoted agencies, so their unethical wrongdoings are not by fault of liberty. That's actually a good point, right? Like if Visa and MasterCard shouldn't have a monopoly on this, right? So yeah. True, but not all sin rises to the level of things that ought to be criminal. Yeah, like viewing, okay, I agree with that, right? Like viewing 18 plus content shouldn't like get you put in prison, right? It should be restricted, but it shouldn't be like you're gonna go to prison as a result of this. Maybe a fine, like if you're fined, but not definitely not like other criminal acts.
And so because of that, most Japanese people, not just, let's say, people around the world, most Japanese people will instantly be locked out from even being able to buy goods from these sites because of Visa and MasterCard backing out, effectively strangling these sites and allowing them to not make any money anymore. And so the only options they have is either close their doors, donations, or they bow down to Visa and be like, yes, we will do as you say, master. We will do exactly what you say, and we promise we will never...
Actually, no, this is like, okay, I agree with Chibi on this point, right? Like, it is like, that is problematic, right? For if Visa and MasterCard does bully, right? If it isn't like a discussion that is made, like that, I agree with that part, that it is unfortunate that Visa and MasterCard have such the power to bully sites into censoring stuff. So, yeah. Like a corn tax. I thought corn already had a sin tax or something. I had no idea. I view it the same way as people getting terminations of pregnancies. We shouldn't be punishing the victims, but the distributors. Actually, that's true. That's actually a good... Like, this is the same thing with purchasing of purchasing of spicy services. Like women who provide spicy services. I'm gonna use the word courtesan because I can't use the actual P word. Courtesan's right. We shouldn't be punishing women, like, because women's are the victims. So it shouldn't be done. Like it should be instead done like the purchasing of spicy products, or the distributors should be punished. 18 plus content has done damage to people mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. For Me Too, gore to some extent isn't too bad, but perverse stuff. There's no need for that. Yes. No, purchasing corn would legitimize it. Like, yeah, that's fair. Most women having terminations of pregnancies are those who chose to have, yeah. I agree with that, but there are some cases where I think this is a separate topic, by the way, but I think people are victims of culture, right? Like if their culture, like victims of hookup culture, if all of their culture, if all of their friends, if all of their family are saying it's perfectly fine, yeah, it's perfectly fine to hook up with other people, then I think those people, like, of course they chose to have that act, but they are also, um I don't think we should still be punishing the woman in that case, right? We should be punishing the person who is providing those services, because they are living in a culture which is actively promoting like hookup culture. So I think they are still victims in that sense.
Or do anything that upsets your company and all that, we will make sure we keep squeaky clean and censor ourselves. That is basically their options. And this has been a constant back-to-back thing that has happened continuously for the last few years. In fact, this article does cover quite a few sites that were shut down or forced to censor in their own way, like Melon Books, Manga Library Z, Dimpasoft, and Tirana, I can't pronounce that one, DL Site, Fantia, Nico, you get the point. There is a lot of sites in Japan that are huge in Japan that are just straight up being strangled by these credit card, debit card companies.
They are being strangled as a result of what sort of again, like I only agree with Chibi to the extent that big companies shouldn't be like using their monopolistic power to force to bully smaller companies into doing that sort of stuff. But what's the sort of content that they want to be censoring, Chibi? What's the content that they want to be censoring, Chibi? Like, we're getting to this point.
And so the fact that we have the actual head of Visa Japan going full-blown mask-off moment and just straight up saying, yeah.
Sorry, a comment just caught my eye. I think of this as similar if they banned you from buying junk food. I think it's there's this game called Democracy 4. And I like playing it. It's like a government simulator. And one of the policies is like a junk food tax, which is I actually would agree with. God instructs us to choose who we associate with carefully because we can be influenced by the people close to us. Being influenced by another person does not excuse a poor life decision. I mean, I agree with okay. I agree with it to some extent. Of course, you have like moral, like okay. Sorry, I misworded what I said earlier. I think I spoke out of turn. I think it's perfectly like you should be. You still had the free will and free choice to choose what you had to do because you still had a conscience, right? But at the same time, I still think I think two things can be true. You chose it out of your free will, like you chose a particular act of your own free will, and you are responsible of that, right? But at the same time, I also think you are a victim of your culture as well. So I think two things can be true at once. Like I can be sympathetic to you, but you have the Blazer. Shut up. I don't want to talk about this right now. But if there is a punishment of any kind, it should be on the distributor. Yes. So it shouldn't be it should be on the person providing the service rather than like or in the case of like in the case of like courtesan culture, those sorts of people, I think women in those situations are also victims. So it should be the person who's purchasing the services. It's either the distribution, the distributor or the person who's purchasing the service, right? Rather than the person providing the service. Sorry, the person seeking the service, I should say. Or you get what I mean. Sorry, I've worded that really badly, but you get what I mean, guys. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. They better bow down to protect our brand image. I'm just like, dude, holy crap. Like, they know they have so much power that there's not much that could potentially stop them. At least maybe in Japan. I don't know. Because there's been even big creators that have called this out and how worrying it is. Like Yoko Taro, aka the creator, okay? The creator of Nier. 2B, 9S, big man in the industry, okay? Famous dev, okay, in Japan.
For Nier Automata, I'm not going to share any clips from Nier Automata, but I think you if you guys are aware of Nier Automata, I think I won't ever play the game on stream, mainly because of it's a bit cringe. So because of how perverted it is, basically. So yeah. I'll take Visa's moral stance seriously when they stop processing adult payments for adult sites in the US as well. I wish they would do that as well. It's like, I agree. If Visa also did that for adult sites in the United States, then I'd support that, right?
He even spoke out about this recently, how dangerous this situation is going and how it is going to strangle the freedom of expression and writing and speech and all that in Japan.
Okay. Come on now. Like, again, like, if it's gonna say, oh, you're strangling my free expression to produce perverted content. Like, come on now. Like, it's I am a bit frustrated by this because free expression is really important to me, right? I think you are perfectly like, it's the absolute right that you should have to express yourself by expressing your opinion, by expressing a political position, by expressing that you think that the government has done something wrong, right? You think that the government is run by incompetent losers. Like, you have the absolute freedom of expression, covers people who are like, people have fought for this because they wanted to criticize the government, right? To then compare, you said, to compare that struggle of free expression for you to freely say something, to compare that to someone who's producing perverted content, I think it's ridiculous to say. They often start with moral sounding proposals, but they continue to insist in their agendas once the precedent is set. Yeah, that is unfortunate as well. Like, maybe Visa. Okay, I am gonna compromise here by saying maybe Visa isn't the best person to do it, considering how they would also censor stuff like they would also censor Christian speech as well. So I guess that's it. Addictive, damaging, degenerate behavior is not free expression. Yeah. If you think Nier Automata was perverse, Darkenguard, like, I agree that as well. Probably. Well, I haven't seen Drakengard 3, so how are we all given the ability to choose God for that to mean anything? We have to be able to make those. Wait, sorry, I need to rewrite this. We are all given the ability to choose God, to choose by God. For that to mean anything, we have to be able to make those choices. Yeah, but but to say, right, okay, but to say that, to apply that to perverted content, I don't think that's, like, even though, okay, lying, to be a liar, like, lying is socially frowned upon, right? It's not illegal to lie. Well, it's illegal to lie in so much as fraud, right? But you still have the free choice to lie. You still have the free choice to commit fraud. Here's another thing, right? You are banned from murdering someone, right? Let's apply this to any other sin. You're banned from murdering someone. You're banned from forcing yourself on someone. You're banned from assaulting someone, right? You're all given the ability to choose by God, and that still means something, even though murder, forcing yourself upon someone else in a spicy way, is that. Bottom line, if you wouldn't apply it to murder, don't apply it to other things that are morally wrong things. For real. Blazer is spitting facts right now. We'll counterpoint all of this by all of this sounds like opinion, which is fine, but, like, it just sounds like you're arguing for censorship because of your religion and not because everyone is your religion. That's my critique. When we're talking about, like, okay, there are secular reasons why we should be banning 18 plus content, right? Which is, like, it does cause addiction. Like, even atheists recognize the harm that corn brings, that corn does bring, corn addiction in particular brings to particular people. So I know it sounds like I'm arguing from religion, but there are, like, secular reasons why we should be banning corn, right? Or ecchi content, like, because if you are gonna get addicted to it, then that's it. Yes, our lives and choices are based on our religion. It is our worldview. Then what's your like? Then Zexal, I would just say your worldview is wrong. Then, right? That's it. I don't think people understand how damaging 18 plus content is. It's so damaging. As I said, like even atheists understand how damaging it is, right? Like even atheist professors and researchers have found out how damaging porn addiction is to people's lives. So yeah. Not only that, like it's not only like okay. We're this is going beyond like hentai and things like that, but people in in the 18 plus industry are like abused as well. Like it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that that's the case. It is horrible for you. It's awful stuff. Yeah. So like I'm not just arguing from my religious perspective. Like I have a religious perspective. Like I have a Christian worldview, but at the same time, like it is also informed. My worldview is informed by the Bible and informed by Christian morals. But at the same time, I am also able to argue my case from a secular perspective because there are other things as well. Even by an atheist, evolutionary, or economic context, it is bad because it makes people not want to have children. Yeah, there's that. And it doesn't help with people's depression either. So yeah, for real, for real. I'm arguing for free choice and free market perception, I would say. Yeah, but should you okay, if the free market says that murder is okay, should you continue to murder? Oh wait, sorry, that's a bad example. Okay, from the point of the non-aggression principle, if we are arguing purely from the non-aggression principle and free markets, if the free market says that abusing women is okay, then should you still continue abusing women? Like if the free market specifically incentivizes and results in people abusing women, then should that continue? No, it's still morally wrong, right? Like the free market isn't the moral arbiter. We shouldn't make the free market the moral arbitrator of certain things. So yeah, like your free choice should be restricted. Oh wait, sorry, no, I'm straw manning here. Of course, like according to the non-aggression principle, right? According to the NAP, that does prohibit like things like murder. I'm gonna have to think about this. I'm gonna think about this a little more, like why it's still bad from a free market / free choice perspective. I've got to think about that for a second, and I'll probably get you an answer at some point if I thunk about it harder.
This is a worrying thing. So the fact that they're just straight up admitting it is some insane stuff, especially when they went on record about 5 months ago saying that no, they're not censoring things, they're not doing anything to these sites, it's some middleman doing this. Now it's very clear that that was a load of bullshit. It's very obvious.
Sorry, my bad, guys. My bad. It's just content warning. As I said, there's content warning. I should have done my due diligence. My sincerest apologies, guys.
At this point, one of the big things that does need to be talked about here is that what could be theoretically done. Well, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm going to assume that some of the things they've been doing definitely break some laws, maybe antitrust laws, maybe some form of laws in Japan. They're definitely doing some form of crooked stuff. Let's just be blunt here. They are being very anti-consumer, and they are strangleholding the market to where if you don't follow what they want, you're not going to be able to make any money.
Guy with the girl profile picture. Even though we're not children, I don't like it when I appreciate it because I'm around people who I do know people who get very, very uncomfortable when people start swearing. So that's just I know we're not children, like we're perfectly able to do it, but this is the sort of community that I do want to promote here is one which is as wholesome as possible. So I know you're not like, it might not bother you if you heard like swearing, but it's and same with temptation as well. Like that's why like I want to I got to be really, really careful next time. Next stream, I'm gonna actually do my due diligence if we're reacting to something in the future. So
going to be able to operate even in Japan. And so this is a very worrying thing, because a lot of people like to say they'll just do piracy. That's not the point here. This is the very source in Japan being strangleholded. This isn't a Western thing. This isn't something that's happening like in Europe or America. This is straight up happening in Japan. And this is obviously companies that are outside of Japan strangleholding the market. And I think one of the big things that this is doing as well, it has some relation to a story I covered recently about a week and a half ago with the whole Sony debacle, with Sony potentially buying, Kadokawa. And I found out in that video, and I even talked about it, that apparently Japan passed some laws to where companies outside of Japan can now buy up some other companies. In this case, it's very clear that whatever laws are being passed in Japan...
Actually, that is, it is like a bad thing. That is also another bad thing, which is like, I don't think American companies, like, because we've seen this happen here in Australia, where big American companies buy up smaller Australian companies, including like the Ugg Boots brand, which was really, this is a very high profile case here in Australia. So it is unfortunate when that happens. So I do disagree when American companies, I'm pretty sure though Sony is American. Sorry, Sony is Japanese. Yes, no, Sony is a Japanese company. I keep forgetting that that Sony is Japanese. Even if everyone is a child, it's very easy for a child to gain access to 18 plus content. That's my view. We need to make it harder to access. Otherwise, the degeneracy will cling to the child. For real, for real. Yeah, Sony America should have zero control over Japanese companies. They are heavily worked. Yeah. Oof, oof, oof. Starship Garage, don't worry about it. Like, we're almost nearing the end. We're getting to the point of the video, I think, that I wanted to get to.
Is allowing these companies outside of Japan to slowly put their tendrils and everything and take control and force Japan to do certain things that they normally wouldn't do. That's clearly what's going on here.
Isn't this not anything new? Isn't NSFW content from Japan already censored? No, so sorry, Pumpkin. It's specifically, so of course in Japan, like, what I appreciate about Japan is that their laws do specifically prohibit adult content, but there are ways that authors have gone around them. I wouldn't suggest, like, I'm not gonna suggest you to look at this, right? But there are ways that have been gone around it. It's specifically though, this issue is regarding like Visa and how they are censoring certain things that Japanese companies are making
here. So something's got to be done. Obviously, I'm not completely aware of every law within Japan because I don't live there, but this is very worrying when you see stuff like this. I think that this is obviously very anti-consumer, and credit card, debit card companies have no business stopping someone from using their own money. Because let's just be...
I just gotta say, when he's saying stuff like, it's very anti-consumer. Imagine if like the Confederates made the same argument. Like, they were saying, oh, it's anti-consumer to prohibit us from purchasing. Wait, I got to do like a real Southern accent. It's anti-consumer to stop the Southern states, to stop the citizens of the United States of America from purchasing slaves. It's anti-consumer. Like, if the same argument was made like 200 or 150 years ago when the American Civil War was going, like, so yeah, it's insane stuff.
Be blunt here. When you get a card, debit, credit card, okay? Let's be honest here. If you've used one, you don't care about the brand image on there, okay? You're like, you're a vessel for me to deliver my money to what I want to buy legally on these sites. That's it. You should have no other role.
But again, like, is it moral though? Like, I don't like this is the one thing that liberals get a problem with. Like, they're saying, as long as, like, it's perfectly legal, so why are you judging it? Like, but is it morally okay, right? I'm Southern and that accent needs work. My sincerest apologies. My sincerest apologies, my brother. I know my anime can't have women that are drawn in a sexual way in it. Whatever shall I do is basically this video. Yeah. So, like, that's the thing, right? It's legal. It's perfectly legal, but is it morally okay? That's the question that we're answering, right?
The brand image, that's absolute bullshit. For such
Oh,
a
far. Oh my goodness.
essential
He's just going mask off right here, Chibi. Oh goodness.
product, for something that is so essential to daily life, that just like the fact that they can straight up censor like this and force these restrictions is astronomically insane. I cannot believe that this is being allowed to happen in Japan. I have heard people tell me that apparently there's some form of investigation in these card companies and stuff recently. I don't know if that's true or not. That's through word of mouth, so I'm not gonna say like that's 100% accurate. That's just what I've been told. And if that's indeed the case, I'm glad there's an investigation. Now, this investigation I think is happening in America, so I don't think that this might have an effect maybe in...
This is the thing as well. I'm not Southern, but that accent needs... Okay, guys, don't focus on my freaking Southern accent that I just tried. That I attempted. When we're talking about like, because this is the thing about like Japanese conservatives, right? Which is like Japanese conservatives. This is the one thing that Japanese feminists actually get right, which is like they want to stop the objectification of women, and then Japanese conservatives are like, no, we absolutely need corn is an absolutely essential part of our economy, so we're going to try and continue to conserve it. So that's why it's like, yeah. I don't know, comparing this to selling and buying people sounds like a bit of a bad comparison. No, I'm just making the point, right? If you're like, if it is morally bad, like we're talking about like morally bad things, right? Yeah, I'm using an extreme example to make a point about like things that are morally bad. If you were to say the same, like, if is purchasing morally bad items anti-consumer? No, it's not, right? So yeah, I just want to be able to watch anime on the living room TV, man. Like, no, I don't think you should be allowed to just do it without like if I think there are totally restrictions that you should totally make. I understand the point you're making. Yeah, good. Like, of course, like I'm not comparing it to that. I am comparing it to it, but I'm not comparing it to the point that they're both like morally heinous on the same level. I'm just saying if on that sense. The 18 plus industry is built on the back of human trafficking. Yes. Outside of Haname. Yes. Haname is a good way to say it. My problem with the Gamergate thing that happened a while ago is that the two sides were pro-woke, pro-DEI, and the other side was anti-woke but pro-sexualization. Yeah. So does GB realize how controllable that makes him, saying his ecchi animes are essential to him living his life? You know, the thing is, I think he's married. Or like no, he's not married. He's got a girlfriend. Sorry, my bad. So yeah.
Japan, but I still these card companies need to be reeled in. There's definitely some corruption going on here, and this man is definitely in the heart of all of it. I mean, this dude, holy crap, Lex Luthor looking, man, like insane. But yeah, I wanted to talk about this because obviously this is a follow-up / update to the ongoing controversy and issues within Japan with the whole censorship. This is
all right. Cool. Sorry, it seems it seems I fumbled here. I'm gonna do sleep before you think video because he's got the video on it. Without ecchi shows, he loses half the content. Actually, that's fair. No, not to be mean to him, but that's. Alright, give me a second, guys. Wait, I'm gonna do a I'm gonna find the clips specifically from Think Before You Sleep. Who has it? So give me a second. Here's intermission point. You talk about stuff in chat, guys. You just talk amongst yourselves. My sincerest apologies, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Where are we up to? You know, I really should remember to always do that. Let's restart that from the beginning.
That we should all be paying attention to.
The reason why these card companies are doing it is because they want Japan to censor themselves. They don't like certain content that's on there, like certain fan service content, stuff like that.
Wait, what kind of...
All right. I'm going to let it play throughout, like just as it is, because the way "Think Before You Sleep" phrases it and the way that he says it is just it's in his the voice that he does as well is just really it makes it absolutely perfect. So we're just gonna take a look.
kind of fan service? Are we talking about Darlene and the Franxx kind of fan service with middle schoolers operating giant robots in very sexually suggestive positions? Or are we talking about a beach episode where all the characters are adults? Because one of those is gross and inappropriate, while the other is just kind of cringe baiting. So what's on these websites that Visa has a problem with?
Yeah, what is it, Chibi? What's on these websites, Chibi, that Visa has a problem with?
It also houses, 18 plus content as well. And the thing is, it's completely all legal, sanctioned under Japan, everything.
It's like, and why is it that you have to make it? Why is it that you have to absolutely make it clear that it's perfectly legal and sanctioned in Japan?
Like that, it is completely fine to use and
why
buy
is it
in Japan on these sites.
And why is it, Chibi, that you're being so vague about it? Sorry, I'm paraphrasing what Think Before You Sleep says, because he's gonna make a really good point in a second.
Sites and stuff.
Well, that was a strange statement at the end. Why did you feel the need to insist that this 18 plus content is legal to buy specifically in Japan? Is it not legal to buy in other countries? You said that Visa and MasterCard are trying to ban anime. What anime are they trying to ban? Why are you...
And I love this. I love this. I love this meme. Very, very cool stuff.
you beating around the bush here?
And even if you disagree with, the explicit content on these sites, okay? It's not real. It's not real. It's not real whatsoever, okay? Drawings and stuff. It's anime and all that, okay?
What?
It's not real. It's not real, guys. It's not real. Okay, yeah. This comes to my, I think my last point, right? Which is, specifically, when we're talking about, Astrophel, I don't like that argument because you can make the same thing, you can make the same argument by saying, when they banned murder in the United States, the matter became worse. Murder became worse. I think it's, when we're talking about prohibition, there are very specific reasons why prohibition failed. It wasn't the prohibition of alcohol, it wasn't the act of prohibiting alcohol itself that made things worse. It was because the government didn't provide enough, the government didn't put enough money into enforcing the actual thing. And the people, they didn't change the culture, culture didn't change. The government tried to make it change. So yeah, that's why I think there are many reasons why prohibition failed. It wasn't the prohibition of alcohol itself that was a bad thing, right? It was because when we look at Muslim countries are perfectly fine prohibiting alcohol, right? It's not like it's not like it didn't fail in Muslim countries, right? So yeah. Think Before You Sleep is one of my favorite non-Christian YouTubers simply because he is very well articulated, isn't he? All right. On this matter of lolly stuff and lolly 18 plus stuff, I think it is, I'm on the side that lolly is degenerate, right? If you because I think there are certain lolly characters that are okay and it's fine, but if you are like a lolicon, right? And you enjoy lolly characters because you are attracted to them, I think you've got problems, man. It's because, yeah, it's just unfortunate that that's the case. I think it's just, if you are attracted to lolly characters, if you watch that sort of stuff involving lolly characters involved in 18 plus content, then, yeah, it's of course you're not committing a crime, right? But you've got a certain way of thinking that means you need to get some help, right? So yeah, lolly content specifically. Lolly doesn't mean child. So of course, I actually so I think the reason why I'm okay with lollies because my definition of lolly is someone who has it can be an adult, right? It doesn't specifically mean child. Lolly is specifically referring to a person with a childlike physique, like a petite physique. And the reason I say this is because I actually know someone in my life who is an IRL lolly. So the concept itself isn't insane, or like it isn't like completely out of the park, right? It's not an insane idea. So real life lollies exist, but this is why I'm okay with Visa censoring this sort of stuff, because I don't think 18 plus lolly content should be, because Visa and MasterCard, they aren't censoring like 18 plus content. They are censoring specifically 18 plus lolly content. So that's why it's that's ultimately it, right? Which is like why I'm kind of okay with it. On one hand, I'm not okay with it because it's Visa and MasterCard doing it, but the idea itself of censoring lolly content, 18 plus lolly content, then it's okay. It's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. All right, let's us. Yeah, Sherman Rain, liking lolly corn is wrong. However, thinking a lolly is cute, like a cat, for example, is not immoral. Yes. Not that it's like, it's just the sexualization of it is problematic. We will end it there for today. That's it for today's stream. Thank you guys for joining me. We're a bit over time, but that's perfectly fine. I'm gonna continue plugging it, right? If you want to continue supporting me streaming every morning, that's perfectly fine. I am focusing a much requested top 10 Christian anime video, so I'm working on it today. I'm not going to Blazer. If you are here at the start of the stream, what Blazer is referring to is because here in Australia, here in Perth, it is 40 degrees Celsius, which is 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which is that today and yesterday. So I am going to now suffer in the heat. So yeah. Channel memberships are open if you want to continue supporting my channel, or if you want to do like, if that's it. That's all I have to say. Auf Wiedersehen. Take care everyone. Have a blessed rest of your day.